is now being recorded.
I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please, there.
Boswell.
Here.
Brookhart.
Here.
Buck.
Here.
Burrows.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Dunham.
Here.
Ludlow.
Here.
McConnell.
Here.
McMahill.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Mauser.
Here.
Purcell. Yep, Purcell, are you there?
Here, Eric, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Ann Reams, are you here? Savage. Stanford.
Here.
Wallace.
Here.
And Wright.
Here.
All right, thank you all.
Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Item 3, Dr. Smith, comments, communications, and public participation. Introduction of guests.
Yes, we have Nate Dunham here from WPKO, and we have Mr. Street here who will be addressing the board in a few minutes.
Thank you. 3B, presentations.
So if you guys remember prior COVID, we went over and had small group meetings and had different questions that you have in front of you. Kelsey kind of pulled out the themes of those questions, and so I kind of just wanted to run through them and see if there's other things now that you had a little time to digest that the board might want to add to this theme and stuff of this nature. These things would probably be used a little bit in our supporting ideas for a new strategic plan when we start going down that road. And so I look at question number 1, is it more important to have programs that are popular and full or programs that serve the needs but aren't as filled with numbers? And those general themes that came out is that, and I'm just going to summarize, is that 1, we should try to promote all programs and try to get them as full and meet the workforce demands that are out there, but make sure we fill programs with student interest. And the second theme was use those program audits to ensure that we're spending taxpayer money wisely. Is there any further discussion from anyone on that first question or things they would like to see added or talked about there on question 1? Okay, not hearing any. Question 2, what do you consider the number 1 reason to have satellite programs? And those themes were getting more opportunities to students, especially in middle school and high school, that can't or leave their home school to come to main campus. Also a theme of satellite that helps the reputation of Ohio High Point and the level of professionalism of the students. It's also a financial win to OHP. Is there anything that people see there that they'd like to expand on or discuss about satellite program?
Have we asked a similar question at the partner schools? Is there anything that they're asking us for other than a specific program, just in general?
I haven't asked that question, but I can bring that up in following superintendent's meetings in the next few months. Anything else?
Dr. Smith,
Sure.
what was the question that he just asked you? I couldn't hear him.
Okay, Matt asked if we've asked our satellite, if we've asked our partner schools if there's anything else other than just new programs that they want out of our satellite programs that they would find important.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Question 3, how do you view the cash balance and what is the explanation for the carryover balance? What do we do to deem appropriate to dip into that carryover? And when would you deem carryover balance not enough? The theme emerged that OHP should continue to remain where they're at, only dip in the carryover balance to invest or build more new programs, renovate, or kind of one-time expenses. And that we should be looking for things that we can recover those costs, down the road 2-3 years. It's more like an investment to kind of keep us moving forward where our cash balance is today. Is there any other insight to that or ideas that would like to be discussed? Okay. Seeing this as a theme, There's questions 4, 5, and 6. I think you guys can read that. Was there anything that stood out to you that you think needed further explanation or more discussion about our small group report, or what we should talk about in those 4 questions as well? I'm just going to recite and have everybody stay quiet. So,
So on the report card question, Rick,
Mhm.
I know that seems to change every couple of years. So how it's calculated and what's being measured. I guess what's our staff's opinion of how do we have a 5-year forecast, for example, with our finances? And I know our staff is planning academics, to last longer than that. What's the overall thought?
Well, the report card, of course, will be different next year because it'll have, or actually a year from now, because the COVID data is a year behind. And so, and once again, we're not exactly sure how testing or things are going to go currently in this year. So it's a little hard to predict when we'll be back on track in a normal type of situation. But I think, and I also think too, of course, what's also changed is how we're presenting data and information. So this will be our really first year with staff being trained and stuff to try to do it as an engaging online type of idea. And so will that take some adjustment to how kids will respond to the state test or different things if we still have them in the spring? So I would say all those type of things, Matt, I'll say this week, trying to start school wasn't their priority of thinking about the report card at all. But I think down the line, I mean, that we're always looking at how do we do the data. Moving to OTES 2.0 will have a lot of data gathering requirements of each classroom teacher and things of that nature. And so will there be a shift in what we look at gathering to say how students are doing in the classroom based on the evaluation tool, or based on changes in web exam, or changes in credentials because of what COVID's making us do? I mean, I think all those things are going to kind of come out this year. And I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of talked last time about a strategic plan. Is it the right time to try to write a new strategic plan and know what you want to judge and go after, when we don't currently know what the state of affairs are going to be of what's going to be important to be evaluated? And so I think those are things that we're looking at right now this year.
Anybody want any further discussion on the admission guidelines? We had a rather long discussion in our small group about that. I guess Rick, how does that line up with our anticipated demands here at main campus especially?
Well, I think we decided to stay with what we continue to do, which we have some standards for the admission guidelines as far as what's your GPA, how many absences you're allowed from your home school. You have to be on track with enough of your classes in your academic field to be able to come here and things of that nature. So I think that'll stay consistent. I think when the new building opens up, we'll have expansion of programs. Some of them, like our COS program, will get a whole new area with 2 classrooms, and we'll be able to expand what they're offering, the number of kids actually in that program. I don't think it's going to change the qualifications to get into the school. So, I think those will stay pretty much the same. And as we see our allied health program and other things grow and stuff like that, most of those require some higher end classes to be a part of. So I think we have plenty of offerings for those who maybe slide in just at the bare minimum of the standard to get in here, at 1.5s and different types of things. But we also have plenty of higher end type things, from engineering to healthcare and things of that nature, for students who want to be involved in those type of courses too, that might have more college kind of aspirations to it as well. Anything else from the group? Okay. Then I'll just move on to the district update real quick, is that we have had the start of school. We've had only juniors here so far. So far, things have gone really smoothly. We've had great success with the juniors coming in, with people being pretty compliant with their mask and things like that. It's gone really well with the parking lots and different types of things working. And so I'm pleased with the start. We have seniors starting tomorrow. I think all the buses have been coming in, Mrs. Ramey, right? So even schools that haven't started or won't or will be doing remote till sometime in September, have still got their kids here to school, as we talked about, one of those type of things. And then Kelsey and I will be working next week to get the first set of board talking points for the first Friday coming up in September, which is really at the end of next week, if you can believe it. So the 31st, we will start on Monday with our regular schedule of alternating Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursdays with our groups. And so that'll start place next week. And so that week we'll move right into September, and we will give you our first rendition of board talking points. Okay. That's it.
Okay, any questions for Dr. Smith? All right, item 4, legislative report. Mr. Mayhew.
Okay, some statistics, approximately 29% of the career centers responding to recent survey report, they will return to school full time in person. 42% reported blended format will be used with CTE courses in person and academic classes online. 49% reported the blended format with both academic and CTE courses online will be implemented. Survey results include 38 and 49 career centers. The governor announced Monday the launch of Ohio's top jobs list. The update aims at prioritizing current economic needs with the health and well-being of Ohio's top jobs list. The list combines Ohio's in-demand jobs and newly created critical jobs into the list of priority jobs section. It says the critical jobs identified through the health, children and community health, early childhood education, first responders, lead abatement, mental and behavioral health, nursing, physician, wellness, research and technology. Nominations for accepting CTE Presidential Scholars Program is work with Ohio Department of Education. CTE is by outreach career technical students that are recognized part of the U.S. Department of Education National Presidential Scholarship Program. This is the 6th year for the career technical students who are represented among the U.S. Presidential Scholars. Out of all the application nationwide, 20 CTE students will be recognized. Each state may submit up to 5 scholars. The Senate Resolution number 542 urges the United States Secretary of Education to extend the school assessment accountability waiver issued for the 2019-2020 school year to the 2021 school year due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Senate Bill 342 was considered related to future financial literacy in high school. Trying to enact, bring it back to the kids today don't know finances. House Bill 748 is revised to prohibit the Department of Health from issuing a special or standing order or rule that supersedes a decision made by the school district. That was introduced for the first hearing. And right now, the plans are being finalized for virtual Capitol conference and trade show. We shall see. They said they're still going to do some in person and some in virtual. Thank
you, Paul. Any questions? Okay, moving to item 5. 5A, any modifications to the agenda this evening?
We do have 2 modifications to the agenda. You received an addendum today for the policy on Title IX. Many of you probably at your home districts have already voted on this or will be voting on this. This doesn't have time because of the federal law to be brought to policy committee, then first reading, second reading. This will be asked for reading tonight. I apologize for it not being in your packet on Friday. I realized today, looking for something else, that I came across this on my desk and we hadn't put it in tonight's agenda. But essentially, this is the new Title IX rules that you now have to have a different people named in the process, from the coordinator to the investigator to the appeals officer, and those type of things in there. and then the process and procedures that all staff members have to be trained. I would say most of the staff has been trained already who will be involved in these type of things. I have my last training on Friday this week for this. And so we've elected to ask one of the ESCs to be our appeals officer instead of having it be me. That's what I was training for and initially doing. I'm now training more to be able to coach the younger administrators who are in these different roles because if I'm the official appeals officer, I can't hear any of these things beforehand or be able to talk or help them through any part of this process. So we decided it would be better for me to be assistance to them in that type of process because it doesn't come up all that often. But when it does come up, it's a lot of work. And so we're going to have, if we had to go to an appeal, would make that one of our ESC superintendents to do that. And so that's essentially what this policy is. It's just, it was Neola sent us an initial policy. I had this because there's a lot of selection in there as far as, is it 2 days to get it done, 5 days to get it done, different types of things. I sent this to Brickell and Eckler, had our special education attorney review that, and they had already built a template around things that they liked about Neola and some things that Neola might have had that they didn't think was completely correct. And so we took the Brickell and Eckler template for our policy to present to you tonight. Correct. We have an executive session scheduled tonight, and so I don't know if we could just add in that executive session, not just the employment of an employee, but a conversation for attorney-client privileges on an update in the building process and some of the contracts and things that we're working with through there. You want to add it at the end? Let's come back. Okay.
Any other modifications?
Those are all that I'm aware of.
Okay. This time we're going to open the floor up to J Street for public comment. We'll go up so the folks online can hear you.
Hi, I'm Jay Street. My son's a junior here, started on Monday, obviously. His name's Alex Street. He's not here tonight because he's at work, so kind of more important, obviously, than skipping at work.
Sure.
So the issue is he drives an 86 Chevrolet K20 truck. He spent the money, mounted a nice flagpole in the back of his truck, and he flies the American flag on it. When he pulled into school, he was informed he's not allowed to fly the flag. Now, the reason behind that seems to have been a little gray from the first time he was told till the end. But I was brought up, it is in your guys' rule or your guideline book, or rule book, however you want to word that. I think it's at page 31, 32 maybe.
Do you have would you like me to put that on the screen for you?
If you want, I mean, I'm sure if you guys question it, you can look it up. It is there. So it states, essentially, break it down, is that there is no flags nor banners of any kind allowed to be flown from a vehicle. Now, some of the reasons that Ms. Ramey had brought up is possibility of, obviously, one kid flies the American flag, some other kid now they want to fly their flag, whether it be gay pride or the rebel flag or Blue Lives Matter or their local school, anything they want to do. With those flags, obviously you get controversy, people, whether it be a school rivalry or I don't agree with you being homosexual or I don't agree with supporting police, whatever their debate may be, it could cause conflict. So I understand that. My concern with that is the American flag is representing the United States of America. Obviously, you guys have it everywhere on campus. You do Pledge of Allegiance. I didn't know that, but that's a great thing. So that flag covers everyone in America. There is no segregation, no separation, no anything. Every other flag that anybody wants to put on there is sectioning out a specific group of people. Whether like all the flags I named off, those are all to that specific group of people. That creates rivalry, creates conflict. The American flag does not do that. Now, my son, he strongly believes in the flag. He loves the flag, what it represents. He has many, his family friends, people who are related to his friends, I should say, who have, supported that flag, fought for that flag, died for that flag, and so on and so forth. I believe Dr. Smith here even said he is a veteran himself. So I am standing here today to ask, can we get an amendment made stating that, although there are no flags or banners allowed to be flown except the American flag? Because, and if you guys have one, I'd be glad to listen to it. We can talk about it. But I don't know of any reason that flag cannot be flown, because there's no reason for conflict with that flag. Obviously, that's why you guys fly it. Now, speaking to Dr. Smith on the phone yesterday, know a couple of his concerns. You may have more he can bring up when I'm finished. A couple of his concerns were the possibility of being a distraction or an obstruction of view to cause an accident with students. Now, my complaint, or my, I guess, disagreement with that.
Counter argument.
No, my disagreement on that is that the distraction is no different than anything else, whether it be a student walking through the parking lot, another car driving, your flag flying, your staff standing out here overseeing the parking lot. There's no different distraction between any of that and a flag on the back of a vehicle. The other thing he had mentioned, the obstruction, the flag does, well, one, we can dictate if you would like a placement of the flag, if that needs to be to make this happen. And if that's the case, that's fine. I'm okay with how it needs to go. But the obstruction thing is, the only rule was within the school grounds. So you're driving, what, 100, 150 yards at 5 miles per hour. That flag doesn't move at 5 miles per hour. It just drapes there and hangs like it's supposed to and just displays proudly what he believes in. So that is why I'm here. That is what I have learned on both your guys' end, what I've heard from Dr. Smith and Mrs. Ramey from your handbook, and then that is why I believe that it should be amended to allow the American flag. And that's what I'm asking you guys to do. Not sure where else to go with this.
That's your time. Okay, and then I'll just give my indication of the handbook or whatever type thing, and that'll be it.
Thank you.
And then the board can decide what they want to do. Okay. Let me start by saying I have appreciated Mr. Street and his process and him following the chain of command and doing the right way. I asked him to come to this board meeting, but once again, I'm going to oppose not the flag, because as you guys know, I love the American flag. I've served the American flag. We have it everywhere on this campus, from the hill to the front flagpole to every classroom, and we play reveille every morning, and the kids do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. This is not about the American flag. It is about flags on cars and the safety of young drivers and distractions and things in our parking lot. And so we've had issues before where one flag comes and somebody says, well, I'm going to get a bigger American flag, or I'm going to try to challenge this, or I want to do these type of things. And they're young teenage minds sometimes that don't make always the best decision. He's right. People can walk past being a distraction, but having something else flying from the back can also be a distraction. And so that's why it was placed in the handbook that you've approved before. And I would say I think we should keep it in the same process. Like I said, not because against the support of the American flag. The one thing I'll say is the American flag should represent all encompassing of the country. And I wish that's how people felt about it. I wish they all had the same heart of Mr. Street, that's what people did. But there's people who want to kneel. There's people who want to say it has a racist background because of how it was brought up through. I mean, there's and those people, who fight and die for this flag. I feel bad about how the flag's not being respected, and that's why we have it still so many places on this campus and pledge to it every day. I just don't think it should be a distraction in the student parking lot as part of our process. And so that's the thing. If you know even about Marysville controversy, if you've heard anything about what's taken place recently, some innocent kids took a picture of the flag with some other supported flags of different agencies out there, and now it's become a social blow up as to all the other issues surrounding that picture with the flag. And so those are things where I don't want those arguments to take place in the parking lot, or to rouse somebody to get mad, or somebody to have a different opinion about this flag or that, or their school flag, or any type of banners. And so we've asked for no flags or banners to be on cars, and I would ask the board to uphold that procedure right now.
When's our next policy meeting, by the way?
Our next policy meeting will be in October. I think Mr. Street wants to make a calendar stay. I don't know that we.
If that's not allowed, that's why I did it.
Yeah. don't have any procedures as far as the number of times you can speak in public. So
Yeah, just so the people like to
All right. Sadly, I've not been read. Already forgotten half of my argument. But with that being stated, the distraction issue, if this flag's not a distraction in every classroom for a student to learn, I don't see how it's going to be a distraction in the back of the vehicle. Not because, like I said, at 5 miles per hour across the parking lot, it's not going to fly and be a big spectacle. Also, the Marysville situation is not about the American flag. It is about every other flag, which I stated sections out specific groups, which I agree with keeping separated.
I know.
That was all I'd like to add to that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you coming in.
Now, head out or?
No, we'll continue with our agenda. I would like to have our policy committee put that next month over.
Okay.
If we get it on your agenda.
Mr. Treat, you're welcome to stay or go. It's just totally your call.
Don't do anything improper.
Yeah.
Respect your guys.
Yeah.
Okay, other topics for discussion. We need to set the records commission meeting. Do we have a proposal for that?
I would say with Ann not here, I don't see any reason why that can't hold until next month.
Okay. 5C, purchasing card review is at 6:15 on September 23rd, and is that here or up the hill?
That'll be here and it'll be prior to our board meeting. I'll listen on.
And also at 6 o'clock that same night, facilities and grounds meeting, and Dr. Smith, what will that be?
That will likely be down here in 102A.
Facilities and Grounds Committee also has a construction document page turn on October 5th at 6. That's also here, correct?
Correct. That'll probably be with the architects and construction people. They're supposed to have October 1st, the drawings delivered.
Yeah, hopefully we can hit that deadline of the 1st so that we can hit the deadline of the 5th. Which would then lead us to potential board meeting on the 7th. And the topic would be the document, correct?
Correct.
So here, 102A. The OSBA Capital Conference, November 8th through the 10th. That's what,
Does anybody see themselves attending that virtually? I know that there'll be no OAC breakfast. Typically, you know, there's a board breakfast for career centers and things of that nature. They won't be doing that. They've talked about being on the board about doing something where they set up kind of a virtual breakfast and have some topics and stuff like that for you as a way to keep you abreast of things. And I'll let you know if that develops. It hasn't been developed yet so far.
so is anyone planning on doing that virtually? I'm assuming there wouldn't be a cost for that, but that's a big assumption.
Oh, I don't think I'd assume that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would assume that's the only way. They're going to try to find out a way to save a little bit of the money they're losing by not having their biggest conference. So, yeah, I don't know.
We have the regular board meeting will be September 23rd at 7 p.m.
And so what's not on here, Mr. Vice President, is the, like I said, policy meeting. I meet with the policy person mid-September. I think it's September 11th or something. And then the policies will go to policy committee on the October meeting for first reading in November.
Okay. Any other topics for discussion? All right, we'll move to item 6. We need a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the July 22nd, 2020 regular meeting and the August 19th, 2020 work session as presented.
Mayhill,
Got Mr. Campbell and Mr. McMahill.
Roll, please.
Brookhart.
Yes.
Buck.
Here.
Burrows.
Yes.
Campbell. Dunham. Ludlow.
Yes.
McConnell.
Yes.
McMahill.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Mauser.
Yes.
Purcell.
Deb Purcell, Stanford,
Yeah.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
and Boswell. Deb Purcell, do you happen to be in?
Yes, Eric, I am. I had trouble with my mic.
Thank you. I've got you now.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carried. We'll now move into item 7, executive session. Need a motion to enter executive session to consider the Buck and Burrows. Roll call, please.
Buck,
Yes.
Burrows, Campbell,
Yes.
Dunham, Ludlow,
Yes.
McConnell,
Yes.
McMahill,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Mauser,
Yes.
Purcell,
Yes.
Stanford,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Oswell, and Brookhart.
Yes. Okay, time is 7:32.
I need to stop recording, Mr. President, before you start that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask the administrative team to leave. You don't need to come back for the rest of the agenda. You are free for the evening.
Thanks, Dr. Smith.
Thanks for showing. Stop
Bye.
recording. We were up to you. That was the problem. I couldn't tell. Okay, we are now recording again, Mr. President.
Okay, that takes us to item 8, action for consideration and recommendation by the treasurer. I need a motion to approve and consent items 8A through 8D as recommended by the treasurer. Brookhart and Buck. Yours, Eric.
Sure. I have really nothing beyond my written report to report this month. I'm happy to answer. But on the agenda itself, I would just draw attention to item 8C, where we are making an advance out, which is basically a loan from the general fund to a local funded grant that Tanner Shane at Indian Lake has been awarded. He was awarded 80% of that money up front, 20% at the completion. It is just a whole lot easier for Tanner to do his thing if we would front the other 500 and then get repaid when that grant is fully funded.
Was that grant 1,500?
It was $2,500.
2,500.
So he got a check for 2,000. We'll get the other 500 when it's complete. Item 8D is probably one of the more interesting items on the agenda, at least for me tonight. We've got some textbook dispositions, but we are being asked to reverse a couple of donations from Honda of American Manufacturing that they made to us back in June 2017. 2 Honda vehicles that they have since determined that should have been destroyed and never donated to us in the first place because of their prototype nature. So they're requesting that we give those vehicles back. And then if you haven't got to the back of your agenda tonight, I would say it is not a coincidence that we have 2 donations, 2 Acura vehicles being donated tonight by Honda. I think they're trying to make up for the 2 Hondas they gave us a couple of years back. So, we are getting more in trade, I guarantee.
Anytime we can get an Acura for a Honda, it's 2 years newer, I think.
But that's the extent of my report tonight.
I did have one quick question on your attached report. What does the cafeteria look like for this startup? Are we expecting major changes in how that? Obviously, we're going to have half the students here every day.
Well, I will tell you, they're completely a volume business. And if they have half the volume, they will lose money this year. Now, the cafeteria has had a good run, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. They have a cash balance of about $60,000. And you may not notice this, but I do. They haven't had to ask for a general fund advance for operating purposes, probably 3 years. So I would think this is going to be a very tough start on the cafeteria this year, likely to be a very tough year for the cafeteria. But at this point, I kind of feel like they have the cash reserves. Let's see how well they can do on their own before Uncle General Fund steps in. And that may be what we decide, but we can always decide that later.
Right now, we're also trying, Mr. Zanzimas has been looking at, there's some programs maybe where our free and reduced lunch students could take a meal with them on the days they're not here. So they might be able to get 2 meals through the lunch line, 1 and a take home, which once again would increase the volume and get the reimbursement from the federal government for that Class A lunch and things of that nature. They have heard rumors that that's allowable, but they haven't been able to figure out exactly what type of food's allowable, because once again, you're talking about us issuing a lunch at 11. It's got to stay in a locker. It's got to be on a bus for not, and different types of things. So what type of non-perishable, food that doesn't have to be refrigerated meets the criteria and stuff of that nature. So hopefully maybe in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we'll have better answers and possibly able to help the cafeteria increase some of their volume. But I agree with Mr. Hagelberger that this will be tough this year to have them do the same type of volume to probably break even.
Any other questions for Eric? Okay, roll call, please.
Burrows?
Yep.
Campbell?
Yes.
Dunham?
Yes.
Ludlow?
Yes.
McConnell?
Yes.
McMahill?
Yes.
Roger Moore,
Yes.
Mauser,
Yes.
Purcell,
Yes.
Stanford, Wallace,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Boswell,
Yes.
Brookhart, and Buck.
Yes. Motion carried. Item 9, motion to recommended by the superintendent.
How about 9B?
Including 9D, the
Oh,
addendum.
Yep, good catch, 9A through 9D.
Hopefully you don't have any questions about the textbooks, because I just sent all the administrators home for the evening. And that's probably what they were online for, to make sure. But in general, we have our standard kind of a textbooks approval adoption here for the different programs. You see the redonation of the Acura. I've explained 9D, which is the Title IX policy that needs to be put into our procedures right away for this school year starting up. And so I think that is essentially what is in my section. Is there any questions?
Okay, so just to be clear, for 9D, we typically do a first reading and then followed by an adoption because of the requirement that has to be approved in this month. Both of those things will occur simultaneously tonight, so you're voting to put the reading and the adoption. Roll call, please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ludlow,
Yes.
McConnell,
Yes.
McMahill,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Mauser, Purcell,
Yes.
Stanford, Wallace,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Boswell,
Yes.
Brookhart,
Yes.
Buck,
Yes.
and Burrows.
Yes.
Motion carried. Need a motion and a second to go into executive session to discuss the Boswell. And Buck. You have that. Roll call.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Ludlow,
Yes.
McConnell,
Yes.
McMahill,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Mauser,
Yes.
Purcell,
Yes.
Stanford, Wallace,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Boswell, Brookhart,
Yes.
Buck,
Yes.
and Burrows.
Carried, timeout at 7:50.
There will be no business to follow afterwards. So, let me stop recording, talk to Nate, be right back, and then we can get started.